Gary. Like, for almost a whole week now, I've been, like, I take care of business, and then, okay, I'm out of energy. I'm going to go do something else. And then, like, an hour later, it comes back. And it's been like this for almost 7 days straight. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the bloody hell did I eat to set me off like this? No, really. Was it those generic brand marshmallow mateys? Like I had multiple days, like 3 or 4 days in a row I had those, and then eventually it led to this. Is that it? Because, like, just, oh man. I just, ugh. Eventually it gets to the point where, how detailed can I get? I've used up so much energy that there's no more energy left to spend. Can I say that safely? Like, I mean, I'm cursing all the time, so it's kind of guaranteed the kids are not going to be watching these videos at this point. So it's like, but is it okay for me to talk about this to an audience that I usually never am associated with that with, you know? Like, okay, so I've been 37 for a month now because it's October 30th now, so it's been over a little over a month now since I've turned 37. I'm like, is this supposed to be like the beginning of the end? Like you had your last hurrah last week, and now you're going to begin your descent into what can I call it? Sexual inequality, unequality, inequality. What's that word? Is that where I'm at now in my life? I just. I mean, I'm not 15 anymore. I get that. I understand that, but like, holy shit, where did this come from? And don't get me wrong, if it feels good, but it's also incredibly distracting. Like it's been following me around enough that at this point, like it's distracting. It's interfered with my job. I missed a couple of important cues last Sunday, and that like, holy shit, Ava. Instead of maybe I just need to get a different toy. Because I've been playing with children's toys for 37 years. Maybe I need to get a real toy. Like maybe that's what I need to do. Because like I've got high functioning autism, which is a social anxiety disorder. So that doesn't help matters. And then I've got I'll broadly say a couple other things happening up here that I have not brought up and I won't bring up. I choose not to bring up. And then I'm 6'2" and 275. Well, a couple of weeks ago I was 275. So that's and most of it's sitting right here. I suppose thankfully most of it's sitting right there. Yeah. So like, not a whole lot I can do about it. Mm. So this video is a way for me to attempt to get that off my mind and like just okay, Ava, you need to do something different. You need to get distracted. I know. Let's do a simple as hell unboxing, and then you can spend 4 or 5 hours editing, and it'll keep your hands busy. All right. That's where I'm at right now. That's why I'm making this video. But in the meantime, I've got three smallish boxes sitting right here. Although that one's on a card. That's not a box. It's cardboard, but it's on a. Okay. So I've got 3 boxes. They're all related to the same thing. So I'm just gonna bang these out. I'm gonna do these one at a time. It might be one video. I doubt it. It might be 3 videos, more likely. Uh, so yeah, this is my attempt to distract myself. Let me get this down here because I can just tell my nose is itchy. God damn it. Okay, so since I was planning on making this video a couple of months ago, like 2 months ago, I was planning to do this because like beginning of September is when I was planning to do this before I turned 37. Um, my mind was absolutely blown at the announcement, and you'll see it in the community tab in my profile. Um, my mind was absolutely blown when I learned that, what are they called? Blackbird Interactive Studios is making Homeworld 3. Holy shit. That is that is good news. Now, to be fair, to be clear, I do not believe in pre-ordering anything. I don't pre-order because I just like pre-order because there's no guarantee it's going to come out at that price, and there's no guarantee it's going to come out then, and there's no guarantee that it's going to be a good product when it comes out. Just ask the people who pre-ordered Fallout 76, of which I did not. I know nothing about Fallout, but I've heard most of the shtick, most of what's going on over there. Yeah, I don't pre-order things. I wait for them to come out. I wait for reviews, or at least I'll say the initial reactions. I wait for initial reactions, then I go in and make my purchases. So I don't believe in pre-orders. Same thing with video games. Same thing with movies. Same thing with. I mean, it could be Super Sentai. It could be Power Rangers. Doesn't matter. I don't do pre-orders. I don't play that game. I don't do that. But Homeworld 3, I have complete confidence in Homeworld. Um, I I'm really tempted to do a Let's Play series on Homeworld. I've got the original discs. They're actually sitting up there. I've got the original 1999 version of Homeworld 1. I've got Homeworld Cataclysm. Fuck you and your trademark issues, Blizzard. It's called Homeworld Cataclysm. Fuck you. Which was a strange game, but I can live with it. Some people say the Cataclysm was the best of the three. Whatever. And then I played Homeworld 2. I still have that disc. The original version from 2004, 4 or 5, something like that. Yeah. So I've got Homeworld 2, and I didn't like the balance. I'll just broadly say I didn't like the balance. The story was loose. It could have they could have done some editing, some fine tuning to the story in Homeworld 2. And I have not played the prequel Deserts of Karak yet. I do, however, have Homeworld Remastered on Steam. I just haven't downloaded it yet. So I've already paid for it, and I've already done all that. I just haven't downloaded it and played it yet. But I do still have. I mean, I've got all three of the original Homeworld games. So Homeworld is built into my young adult life. It's been there. It was actually a family friend who gave me the first disc of. No, actually gave Homeworld 1 to my dad, hoping that my dad would play it. My dad passed it on to me, saying, "Hey, Ava, can you teach me how to play this game?" 20 years later, I'm still waiting for it to teach him how to play Homeworld 1. So, God damn it. So that's how I got into Homeworld 1. That's how I got into Homeworld. So it came from my dad and came from a friend. So there was that. So I'm not an active. I'm not a multiplayer. I'm not in the multiplayer community of Homeworld. I never have been. I experimented with it a little when Homeworld 2 came out, but I was still so new to multiplayer, online multiplayer. I couldn't do it at the time. I mean, like I mentioned this earlier, this whole social anxiety thing. I couldn't do multiplayer. So, and also we didn't have good internet at the time. So, what am I talking about? We still have crap internet. So, speaking of pre-orders, but when Blackbird Interactive, or BBI, not BB-8 but BBI, introduced I think it was the crowdfunding campaign on, I'll list the link on that site. Um, I immediately jumped because they said you'll get your name mentioned in the credits, in the scrolling credits, because you would be a contributor. You get access to the exclusive Discord server, which I do have Discord. I just don't use it very much. Um, I'm just stuck with Skype, so get with the times, Ava. Jeez, it's 2019. Nobody uses Skype now. Skype's full of bugs. Skype still doesn't have cross through. You still can't cross out words, which sucks. You can't underline them. You can't do sub or super text. Is that super text? Is that what I know? There's subtext. or no, I'm sorry, the subscript. Is it called superscript? Is that what it's called? Where it's not below but it's above the okay. You get access to a bunch of different things, and you the depending on your donation, how much money you put into the campaign, you will get Steam copies of Homeworld Remaster and Deserts of Karak. So that's how I got those. I've heard good and bad about Deserts of Karak, but on the other hand, I haven't played any Homeworld title in maybe 10 years, over 10 years, because there's been a number of different computers I've had to deal with. So, yeah. Um, but anyways, it was less about the crowdfunding. They made it clear. It's not about the crowdfunding. It was more about the crowd input. They wanted to hear the opinions of fans. And when you sign up with I actually had to sign up with a crowdfunding site again. Like the first one I signed up with was Indiegogo, and that was to fund the Star Trek fan film Axanar. And that was what 3 years ago when I signed up with that, and it's the only campaign I've ever done. Because I usually don't find out about these things. Anyways, and then I had to sign up with this other site that I totally can't remember, which apparently they're new-ish, something like that. Um, I signed up with them, and then you have to spend about 15 or 20 minutes, and this is what BBI puts in there. It's what they put in. It's not the campaign financial stuff, but it's the actual questions. You go through a 15 or 20-minute questionnaire. What did you like about the previous games? Did you enjoy this about the games? Did you not enjoy this about the games? What are some things you would like to see in another sequel? So it takes about 15 minutes to scroll through and, to pick this one option or pick multiple options. There's a couple of different ways they do it. I can't remember if there's any fill in the blank, or other option and then fill in the blank. I don't remember if those are there or not. But anyways, it takes about 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And I filled mine out. I kind of wish I had a copy of mine, or if I could go back and like change it, that'd be kind of neat. So, anyways, the campaign started in early September, and the campaign funding or whatever it is, the campaign funding was only $1. How often do you hear about crowdfunding where the entry fee is only $1? Now, after that initial campaign came out, and by the way, with that $1 donation thing, they filled the quota within 3 days. Like the amount of people that they were looking to get involved, it like double or tripled the amount of the triple the amount of people that they were expecting came in. So they actually made a lot of money for only $1. And that $1 was like the absolute minimum. You couldn't set it for 1 penny. They set it for $1. And they're like, we want to hear your opinion. All you need is $1. And the entire internet responded and said, yes, please. By the time I found out about the campaign, because I'm always late to the party, it was about a week later, so that campaign had already ended. So now they're up to the kind of more familiar. Here's the $25 package. Here's the $50 package. Here's the $100 package, and on and on. So now they're doing that. So it is an actual crowdfunding thing. But they're still asking the questionnaire. That is still in there. And I did indeed get access to the Homeworld Discord server, so I do have access to that. I just haven't played the game in a very long time, and I've only ever done it in was it campaign mode? That's how you play Homeworld. Homeworld is not like it's not it it's not like StarCraft. It's not like your typical real-time strategy. Most real-time strategies focus on the campaign and then they shift over to multiplayer. That's just kind of the way the market worked out, and that's ultimately what led to the death of real-time strategy in many ways. That was one of the things was like, real-time strategy used to be about the campaign, the single-player campaign. That's what it was about. And then there was an option. Once you played that, then you move into the online gaming. StarCraft is one of the better examples of this. It's kind of the last hurrah of real-time strategy, right up there with whatever version of Command and Conquer killed Command and Conquer. There's that thing. But Homeworld is different because A, it hasn't been around nearly as long. B, it wasn't. Homeworld is a huge title in real time strategy gaming. If you talk to somebody who enjoys real time strategy, more than likely they've heard of Homeworld. More than likely they've also played Homeworld. It's a very, very good game. All three of them were. Oh, like I said, Homeworld 2. I've got issues with Homeworld 2. Um, so the crowd. So, anyways, the crowdfunding thing I mentioned earlier. I don't do pre-orders. Well, this is a. First of all, it's the exact same people. It's the exact same people who are going to be making Homeworld 3 that made Homeworld 1, that made some of Homeworld Cataclysm. Actually, nowadays it's called Emergence or Reemergence or some other bullshittery something like that. I call it Cataclysm. Fuck you. But it is the same people who worked on Homeworld 2, and it is the same people who worked on both remastered and Deserts of Karak prequel. So it's been the same people across 20 years. Oh yeah, 20 years because the original came out in 99 or the first one came out in 99. Um so that was motivation enough. Like that is a strong brand. And considering that Remastered came out 4 years ago at this point, 3 or 4 years ago at this point. It was like 2015 or 16 when it came out, which was actually be 3 years. And then Deserts of Karak was shortly after that. So they tested the water with Homeworld Remastered. And then they said, okay, our audience is still, still present and enabled, and then we're going to do Deserts of Karak because we can kind of sort of get away with it. And nobody really complained about it. Rather than just do just straight sequel, they're like, you know, even though it's Blackbird Interactive now, rather than Relic Entertainment, rest in peace, we're going to test the water. We're not going to do a sequel to a movie I'm sorry, to a game that we haven't touched in almost 20 years. We're not going to do that. So they tested the waters. They kind of tipped their dough. They dipped their toe in with remastered, and then they did Deserts of Karak. Deserts of Karak was okay. It works, and then with the feedback from those two, they said, okay, now we're ready to do Homeworld 3. So Homeworld 3, hell yes, hell yes. I gave them $60 on that campaign. Money well spent. Money well spent. I don't do pre-orders, and I certainly don't do campaign funds. But Homeworld is a brand I can stand behind. That is a title. If it turns out to be shit, well then I've still got the original three, and I've got Steam versions of Remastered and Deserts of Karak. And for those of you who are wondering, no, changing topics slightly, the possibility of Homeworld Cataclysm getting remastered is basically gone. That's never going to happen because when Barking Dog Studios, for those of you who don't know, Relic Entertainment was the copyright holder, but they were not interested in doing a spin-off, which is what Cataclysm is. They weren't interested in that. I don't remember who gave the go-ahead for a different studio to work on it, but basically it's a oh, what's that thing called? It's not a technology advancement. It's just using the same resources. They use the same game engine, the same graphics, the same development, but they're just creating a couple of new models while using all of the previous resources. That's what Cataclysm is. Expansion, side stories. It's not an expansion. Well, it might be an expansion. I'm not sure. But anyways, Barking Dog Studios was the one that was responsible for Cataclysm, and when Barking Dog Studios was purchased by somebody else years later, um, when they were purchased, somehow the raw data, the source files and the source code for Homeward Cataclysm or just Cat got lost, just whoosh, gone. No one knows what happened to it. So if ever there was to be a remastered Cataclysm, Homeworld Cataclysm, basically they'd have to do the whole damn thing over from scratch, which is different from what they did from Homeworld Remastered, which is Homeworlds 1 and 2, because they were taking the original files and they updated things, but they didn't have to do the groundwork. Like they might have done some little tweaks here and there, but they still had the source material from the original game in 1999. They still had that. So that's why remastered worked. Cataclysm, no, that's not going to work. So, right. So yeah, Homeworld 3 confirmed. We beat Half-Life to it. Yeah, we beat Half-Life 3. Can't make that claim. Let's see. What else is happening? STD is still in the shitter. These quote unquote short treks are awful. I haven't watched any of it, but from what I've heard, it's still terrible. The short treks are just basically tearing everything that Star Trek is to tiny bits. So don't care. Not gonna watch it. ST Picard is on the way, and I've been saying this since the announcement. You can even go back and look at one of my previous videos. I'll look for the video and then put the link down below. Um, the internet has only just now, Trekkers are only just now realizing what I already knew like half a year ago. Actually, more than be 3/4 of a year ago at this point when we found out that Star Trek Picard was going to be happening. The internet is only just now realizing that it's going to be shit because they're realizing now how juicy that bait pile is. When you've got Brent Spiner, Jerry Ryan, Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, and Marina Sirtis all coming back, that is an amazing bit of bait. Bait. But considering the development schedule for ST Picard is even shorter than the shitstorm that they currently have running, which is STD, which required the creation of short treks in order to explain what the fuck was happening within the show itself, which makes no sense whatsoever, ST Picard is going to fail. It is going to fail. I don't, the thing that Trekkers have been crying about since 2009, when Star Trek 2009 came out, the thing we've been crying about is why can't they just pick up where Nemesis left off? Why can't we just pick up where Nemesis off? Well, guess what? ST Picard picks up after Nemesis. It picks up a number of years after Nemesis, and it's still going to fail because CBS television is currently running things, and CBS doesn't even know the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars. I'm not kidding. The former head of CBS television does not know the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. Thank God he was kicked out by his own people for allegations of sexual harassment and, what was it, evidence tampering. ST Picard is going to fail. And it is going to fail so hard. Like, I cannot tell you, and I'm not going to watch it. I've given view counts to two trailers, and two trailers only. The announcement trailer where we actually see Picard's face, and then the second one where we actually see Data's face. Ooh, spoiler alert for a show it's not going to work. Yeah, so those are the only trailers I've seen. I don't care. I don't care. And I'm sure the money looks very, very attractive to Sir Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner and Jerry Ryan. I'm sure the money looks attractive. At this point, I'm inclined to believe that's the only thing that's bringing them in. So CBS is already demonstrating that it is fully ready, willing, and able to trash the good names of good actors in order to cover their own asses. That's how I feel about SD Picard. I'm pissed. I'm just and the exact same people are working on ST Picard that are currently working on STD. Explain to me, Internet, how you thought that ST Picard would be any different from the previous show. Explain this to me, please, because I don't understand where you're getting this idea from. The people who are currently destroying Star Trek and everything that it stands for and everything that it represents and everything that was good about it are now going to actively do the exact same thing. It's the exact same people. What's his name? Alex Kurtzman was never a Trekker, and he's showrunner. When Alex Kurtzman wrote Star Trek 2009, he was working with Robert Orci. Or Orci? Or Orci. I think that's how his name. Robert Orci was the Trekker in that writing duo. Okay? He was the brains. I don't know what Kurtzman contributed, but like maybe Kurtzman was there to liven things up because apparently Star Trek is like classical music and Star Wars is like rock and roll and Star Trek needed a little more rock and roll. Apparently. I'm not kidding. That's a quote or a paraphrase. That's a paraphrasing. One of those two. I think it was Kurtzman who said that it needed a little more rock and roll. I'm like, Jesus Christ! And this is the guy who's currently running STD into the ground, and now he's transferring over to ST Picard. So explain to me, please, how this is going to work out, because I don't see it happening, folks. ST Picard is going to fall. It's going to fall like Terminator Dark Fury fell. I'm sorry, Dark Fate fell. Um, it's going to fail just like STD is currently failing. It's going to fail like Game of Thrones Season 8. I've never seen Game of Thrones. I know absolutely nothing about Game of Thrones Season 8. I don't give a flying fuck about Game of Thrones. Oh, it's the greatest thing since Game of Thrones. I don't give a fuck. I'm sick and tired of your Game of Thrones analogies. Fuck off. But anyways, ST Picard, it's not working. It's not going to work, and it hasn't even aired yet. It hasn't even aired yet. Oh, they also got oh, they got that one actor who played I can't think of his name. Jonathan Arco. I can't remember his last name properly. Anyways, he played a character. He played a guest character in Star Trek: The Next Generation. They're bringing him back. Speaking of the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek, I saw none of the trailers for The Rise of Skywalker. I haven't seen them. I'm not going to. I'm not going to give them the view count. The last thing related to Star Wars that I ever purchased was that was it Director Krennic's Imperial Shuttle, the Lego kit for like 60, 68, $78 or something like that. And that was in 2016. That's the last Star Wars anything I ever purchased. I don't have a lot of Star Wars in my collection, but that was the last thing, and that was 3 years. Or that yeah, that was almost 4 years ago. Don't care. If Star Wars, if Disney Star Wars is making the point that we don't want straight white men and we don't care about continuity and we don't care about loyalty, all right, then I guess you don't want my money. I don't care. And it's actually kind of ironic because last night, for the first time ever, I saw an advertisement for Disneyland Galaxy's Edge, and I don't care. I would be I would have been, if this had been 15 years ago, before the Walt Disney Company purchased I'm sorry, 20th Century Fox. Before that happened, I would have been genuinely thrilled to go to a theme park that was centered around Star Wars. I've done Star Tours twice in my life, and I loved the hell out of it both times. I barely remember it when I went on it the first time in '95, and I kind of remember it the second time I went on it in 2000. I think it was the year 2000. In the year 2000. In the year 2000. So I genuinely enjoyed Star Tours. I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to see a theme park. Actually see the at. They might not be able to get an AT-AT. I'm sorry, AT-AT, not at, but an AT-AT. They might be able not be able to get it. They might not be able to get it to walk because they're actually damn heavy. But they could definitely make the head turn, look around, have the eyes flash, maybe have some smoke coming out of some joints that you didn't see in the original, like whatever. Have the sound effects. Do the hydraulic press shit, and that would be fine. But Galaxy's Edge, it's a bunch of characters I don't give a shit about. I don't care. I don't care. Like, uh, very very short summary, if there is such a thing for me coming from me. Force Awakens. I was surprised with some of the things they did, but I was like, it's a new studio. They're they need to get used to the rhythm of making Star Wars. Okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Rogue One is Star Wars straight. Okay, yeah, they've got it. They know how to make Star Wars. Okay, this is going to be good. Okay, my fears have been lifted. Last Jedi. What the fuck? And I haven't seen Solo. My dad um, asked me a couple of months ago. He asked me, "Hey, Ava, do you want to see Solo on TV?" And I'm like, "No, really? I thought you liked Star Wars." And I'm like, "Have you not been listening to me for the last 3 years? Have you not been hearing my complaints?" Well, I don't know what you like. Yes, you do, because you like almost exactly the same things that I do. One of those being Star Wars. So, yeah, I haven't seen Solo. I don't plan to. I actually saw a video yesterday that spoiled a bit of Solo. Like, I didn't know about that movie. And like ordinarily I avoid spoilers like the plague, and I've said that a number of times here. But like I don't care. I don't care. Now, Solo might not have been as social justice warrior friendly, if there is such a thing, as The Last Jedi and whatever else Disney is planning, or rather not planning. But I don't care. I don't care. And it has nothing to do with toxic masculinity. I'm not sexist and I'm not racist. Both Star Trek and Star Wars taught me that. And I learned those when I was before I learned both those lessons before I was 10. You can't call me racist and you can't call me sexist. Your argument is invalid. Uh am I going to go see Rise of Skywalker? As I'm recording this, as I'm recording this, it has recently come to the attention of the internet that the Rise of Skywalker is how far away? I think they're 4 months away from the release of the movie. It's not going to be in December like it traditionally has been. Um, it's going to be in like March or something along those lines. There's only 4 months before the movie is released. And if I understand correctly, and I've gotten this from a number of different YouTube sources, they are reshooting 75% of the movie right now as I speak, reshooting more than half of the movie. Now, as I understand it, it has little or nothing to do with the special effects portions. So, like the green screen stuff and action sequences, they're going to be all over the place, and so the green screen, blue screen stuff, that's not what they're reshooting. What they're reshooting is the quote unquote character stuff, something like that. And it's 4 months away from being released. That is fucking lightning in Hollywood. Usually, you want to have principal photography and all reshoots should be done at least 7 to 8 months before a movie comes out, at the very least. And here they're doing it with less than four. Because this information came out a couple of weeks ago. What the hell? So yeah, I'm not gonna watch Rise of Skywalker. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't care if Palpatine comes back alive and he's in a walking throne. I don't care. Honestly, when it comes to walking thrones, what was it Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of numbed me to that one. And even then, Newt Gunray in Star Wars Episode One did that. So why does like he's a force user? Why does he need a walking chair? He can literally float across the screen, and it would be exactly the same thing. he can jump a couple stories. I don't care. How did he survive again? Which puts to mind an interesting point. If Emperor Palpatine survived the destruction of the Death Star, does that mean that it's open to the possibility that Han Solo survived the destruction of what's it called? No, not Star Killer Base. Fandom's gonna love that one. Oh wait, I forgot. In the fandom's mind, Han Solo ain't dead yet. Don't care. Let's see. I briefly mentioned it. Terminator: Dark Fate is currently failing at the box office. I don't care. I actually heard a spoiler-filled review of it, and from what I've heard, it's pretty damn dumb. So everything that you saw in the trailers, if you thought the trailers are bad, then there's nothing good that came out of the movie, and the ratings are apparently saying the same thing. Um, let's see what else. I'm tired of talking about that shit. I want to move on. I'm tired of making myself depressed and shit. So the main reason I'm doing this video is, yes, it is to distract myself. Like I've been distracted for the last week now, as I've already previously mentioned. Um, I actually got this in the mail last Wednesday, so a week ago today. I got this in the mail, but I've been so distracted that I kept putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. So I'm going to unbox this today. But before I get to this, I'm going to have to unbox that.